is my pastor, the Reverend Ronnie Harrison. He'll come up and following myself. And then after that, actually Congressman Cole has a word for us as well. And then we will, as time permits, and we're waiting on credentials to finish what they're doing, we're going to allow candidates for public office and other guest speakers to come up and take a few minutes. Then the Credentials Committee report, then we will approve our convention chair and move on with the business of the party. I have some words written, and I'll get to that in just a second. Some of them are very complimentary, and some of them are not so much complimentary. I'm actually going to identify a few things that I see as a problem in our Republican Party. It would be easier for me to not do that and just say all the positive things and then step away and we could all smile and sing Kumbaya together. But I'm not going to do that because this party means more to me than that. If you don't identify the problems within your own house, they'll eat you alive. You have to do that. As uncomfortable as it is, you have to address issues when you see them. And there will be people sitting in this audience that wholeheartedly agree with me and that wholeheartedly disagree with me. And that's okay, because we'll come together and meet in the middle somewhere and move forward. Nothing wrong with that. But before I move on, I just wanted to make that statement, because again, it just means a lot to me. I want to thank you so much for taking time out of your Saturday to come and take part in conducting the business of our Republican Party. The party and those in the party are influential in the election of public officials and in the policy making of our local and state and even federal government. So thank you for being involved. I also want to say thank you to our elected officials. I have sat on a city council and I'm aware of the time requirements, the effort, the patience, the study of things that you feel important, and the study of a few things that you really don't think matter that much, but you know you're going to need to vote on. I liken the job of an elected official to that of a sports referee. You're guaranteed that at the end of the game, a full one-half of those involved are going to hate you. But you continue to serve. So again, to all of you that I consider friends, and then those I don't, and those that I want to stay in office, and those that I want to help find a new job as soon as possible, with all respect, thank you for your service. I want to thank the volunteers of the party, the unsung heroes who chair and sit on rules, platform, and credentials committees, those who decorate for events such as today, those who serve on my executive committee, that advisement board that says, hey, you're getting out in left field, you need to come on back in a little bit. I want to say thank you to those guys and gals. Those who ride in parade floats, man fair booths, knock doors for candidates and issues campaigns, those who run for party office. My wife didn't like the following statement, but I'm going to say it anyway. You are the big block, turbocharged 454 with dual carb motor that keeps this vehicle running. She said, I don't know nothing about cars. That doesn't mean anything. I said, you do too. You know that's a big motor and that's a good thing. She says, whatever. That was last night about 1 o'clock. Last but certainly not least, my family. My children who involuntarily donate their time for their mommy and daddy to you, the party. And Eve, what could I possibly say about my wife that would suffice and truly express my appreciation for her? She acts as my political secretary, my business partner, and business secretary. She's a homemaker, a mother to my incredible children, and since she wasn't doing anything else, she just took a job. I cannot say enough to express my appreciation for her. So I'll just say thank you. I want to express, yes. I want to express my appreciation to you for allowing me the privilege of serving as your chairman for the past 2 years. As I explained to my executive committee earlier this week, I hold this office in high regard. Very respected individuals have held this office. 3 of them are here today. Dr. Harold Harrelson, Virginia Clendenny, and who else? Oh, yeah, Bobby Cleveland. Dr. Harrelson is our current District 3 County Commissioner, and of course Bobby Cleveland is our District 20 State Representative. And I want to take just a second to tell you a little bit more about Bobby, although most of you already know. You've seen his picture at the post office. You've read articles in the paper. The Lost Oval really likes him. Bobby is undoubtedly the most tireless grassroots volunteer, party officer, and legislator that I know. He's responsible for my foray into the world of politics, which has led me to stand on this stage. He's responsible for that because he welcomed a kid wearing khaki shorts, a tank top, deck shoes with no socks, into a Republican luncheon meeting with bankers, doctors, attorneys, and legislators, most of them in suits, welcomed me in and somehow made me feel comfortable sitting there looking like that. I came back next month looking much sharper, and I've been involved in politics ever since. And he opened up a new world to me that day by welcoming me in. I'll always be thankful to you, Bobby, for that. As I said, I hold this office in high regard, and because of that, I leave very frustrated. I'm frustrated because of all those things I was not able to accomplish during my term. I won't go into details, but there's a long list. And hopefully I can assist the next chairman with accomplishing some of those mutual goals, things that are important to him as well. It's with a heavy heart that I made the decision to not run for re-election. The needs and requirements and opportunities for involvement in the Republican Party are numerous and sometimes taxing, but often fulfilling. The opportunity to persuade someone to run for office or to affect a lawmaker's decision on which way to go on a particular issue should not be taken lightly. And having the ability to influence those situations or to just help someone out is very rewarding. I was driving along out in Ward 5, East Norman, several years back when I was on City Council, and I stopped at the Little Axe Recreation facility there and was talking to a couple guys who were out playing disc golf. And I was just kind of feeling them out, just meeting the constituents and asking how they liked the park and all that. Left on my card, told them if I could ever do anything for them to holler at me. Fast forward a year, one of those guys called me up. He said, "Hey, I don't know if you remember me." And he described the situation in which we met, and I said, "Sure, I remember you." He said, "I have a friend who has had some legal problems the last couple of years, and he was sentenced to a bunch of community service. He fulfilled that community service at the Little River Zoo. Well, the Little River Zoo had just recently closed, and the owners were nowhere to be found. Consequently, he had no written or documented proof that he had spent a minute there. And so I said, well, who's the prosecuting attorney? What's their name? And what judge has the case?" And he told me. And so I happen to know the judge, which is another benefit of being involved in the party. You get to know a lot of people. So I called the judge up. It was Judge Steve Stice down in Norman. And I explained the situation to him. I said, we have a guy who's done all this community service. We have the guy who took him there, gave him a ride. So it's done, but we don't have any proof. And he's scared to death. He's going to go back to jail. He's got a court appointment tomorrow. The judge says, "Yeah, I've heard about that. I've heard several people have that issue. Call the prosecutor and tell him that I'm okay with this deal if he is." And so I get on the phone, find the prosecutor. I didn't know them, but I spoke to him anyhow. And they said, "Yeah, that sounds good to us. And tell him that he doesn't need to show up tomorrow, that everything's okay." And so I did. I made the phone call back. And pretty soon, the guy who actually had the problems called me. He says, "Yeah, my friend said that you told me that I don't have to go to court tomorrow." He says, that hasn't generally worked out real well for me in the past. I kind of laughed and I said, well, you can do what you want to tomorrow. If I was you, I'd just go to court and sit there, I guess. He says, I believe I'll do that. And thanks for your help. He was very apprehensive, you know. You could tell he didn't think anything had happened. He feared he was going to jail. And so the next day, sure enough, he calls me back. I don't know who you are or who you talk to, but you took care of a problem that's been plaguing me for a long time, buddy, and I just wanted to thank you. And the truth is I had spent about a grand total of 3 or 4 minutes on that. And the feeling that came from being able to help someone like that was a wonderful feeling. It wasn't political. It was just a guy who needed a little bit of help and didn't know where to go. Congressman Cole, I know you've done that. You've done that for my family. You've done it for my pastor sitting down here. And that's one of the benefits of an office like this, and knowing people and able to help people. It's a great reward. So as stated earlier, this job can be very rewarding, but the needs and requirements to attend club meetings, organize events such as this convention, keep abreast of current issues and pending legislation, attend and organize committee meetings, manage personnel and fundraising can be daunting. The time requirements are substantial. I'm reminded of a little boy who waited for his dad to come home after a late night. And when his father arrived home, he says, Daddy, I was wondering, how much money do you make an hour? The father, a small businessman who worked long hours and was heavily involved in local politics, he got a little irritated at the question. He thought to himself, you know, I work hard and I'm involved so that my little boy can enjoy life and play baseball and play in the sandbox with his friends, and he's wondering about how much money I make. What else does he want me to buy? But he went ahead and he answered the question. Son, after all the business expenses and insurance and taxes and mortgages and everything else you can mention, our business makes us about $50 an hour. That's what we get to take home. The little boy looked sad, but then he asked, Daddy, would you loan me $25? The father just sighed and he reached into his pocket and handed the boy $25. The little boy, ecstatic, yelled, Oh, thank you, Daddy. He took the money and he ran off to his bedroom. After a few minutes, the little boy comes back to his father with $50 in his hand. The angry father says to the little boy, This is ridiculous. Why did you ask me for $25 if you already had $25? What crazy toy are you about to blow your money on that costs $50? The little boy said, There's no toy, Daddy. I just haven't really seen you in a long time. And I want to know if I could buy an hour of your time. Could you come home early tomorrow and we can play a game of catch? I found myself saying to my children way too often, Not right now. Be quiet, I'm on the phone. Maybe tomorrow. Some of you know I have 4 children, ages 3, 5, 7, and 9. Tomorrow, they'll be standing on this stage, running this convention. For Bobby, they'll be at the state capitol. They'll be up where Congressman Cole used to sit in Congress. Or who knows where. But if I don't appropriate enough time and effort to them right now, then what kind of disservice will I do not just to them, but to the world that they're going to affect? So my decision is to step away and concentrate more on my family. Before I go, I want to talk about the status of Republican politics, and not just Cleveland County, but in the state as well. Here's some of those problems I was talking about. Some people say there's no difference in Democrats or Republicans. Well, I can assure you there are big differences. We are not the same. There are major differences in the ideologies and the platform of the two parties. And I want to tell you that it's an imperative that we protect the integrity of our party, the belief system of our party, because it is not the same as the other one. We have a party platform that indicates our belief in a smaller, limited government with fewer taxes and lower taxes and a protection of individual liberty and freedom. We are not a party that says, let government fix it. We're not a party that says, we are a party that says, let government get out of the way and we'll fix it. We're a party that says we're not a party that says the government should provide and pay for this service for me. We're a party that says I can spend my money more efficiently than the government can, so keep taxes low. Our governor has proposed a list of 164 services on which to tax. In case your hearing aids aren't working, I said 164 services on which to tax. Now, who here would appreciate a few more taxes? That's what I thought. If you will recall, we are Republicans. Lower taxes, fewer taxes, smaller, more limited government. That does not sound like a Republican proposal to me. We need to protect the integrity of our party.
Amen.
Does anyone believe it's a good idea for the government to take a citizen's property and keep it without cause, with no conviction of crime, sometimes with no charges filed? Explain that to me. In Muskogee, Oklahoma, a foreign Christian rock band driving through town pulled over and they'd been on tour. They have the paperwork that shows the donations from the churches that donated to them. They have $53,000. It's seized under the assumption that they were drug related. They had been singing to God. There were no drugs involved.
Right.
I submit to you, without Facebook and social networking today, that $53,000 would still be in the coffers of the Muskogee Police Department.
Yep.
Luckily, public outcry stopped that, and I don't know, 6 months later, 9 months later, that money was returned. They were not arrested. They were not charged. They just were held up and their money was stolen. That's not right. As a matter of fact, in most situations, that's called criminal when you call the police. In this case, the police did it. The government did it. Does anyone believe? No, I got that part. Think about this. You're traveling down the road and get pulled over. You have your week's pay. Maybe it's not a big week. Maybe it's $500 or $1,000. And they bring out a drug dog to hit your car, which we all know. All you got to do is say, "Here, Fido, right here, right here, right here. What's this?" And a dog is going to hit that. You can say training keeps them from doing that, but that's being correct. You can coerce a hit with the dog, a drug dog also. So now you have probable cause to seize that $1,000 paycheck or cash. There's nothing in the car, so there's no charges filed, there's no arrest, just the money. Now, we may have some attorneys in here today. I wonder what your retainer is. Probably $2,500, $5,000. Who has that to go pay the attorney to go get their $1,000? Nobody. What happens to that money? Stays right there where it was. That's the way it was planned. That is not right under any situation.
Man.
It's not right. It's not right. Now, this sounds like just a bash police thing, and I promise you there will be people accuse me of that. I can't control what other people are going to say. But that's not the case. But I'm telling you right now, there is a conflict of interest when a police department can pull you over, take the money under that situation, and keep the money. The money goes to their department. That is a conflict of interest by definition. Last year we had a bill that would have removed that conflict of interest. It would have sent the money elsewhere. Good bill. Some have estimated it would have passed the legislature by 70 or 80%. It was killed in committee. It was never allowed to be heard. When it was requested that the bill be moved to another committee, committee chairman said no. Forcibly killed right there. When your elected chairman goes to the Capitol to speak to the committee chairman, one of our senators, I left 4 messages. I left one on the voicemail, on his phone, Facebook, an audible message with his secretary, tell him to call me, and a handwritten message from me that I left on his desk, on his secretary's desk. Crickets. I got nothing. That is not Republican principles of government. There's several different issues there. Not just the one of killing the bill, but of the fact that you're not responding to the guy who's been elected by the grassroots activists in the party to run the party. That's a problem.
Right.
That needs to be fixed. We have to protect the integrity of our party. Years ago, our parents and grandparents would register as Democrats here in Oklahoma because it's the only way they were able to vote. People such as Congressman Cole's mother, the Hibdons, mine Hibden and others, blazed a trail and kind of started to change that. And now the situation has changed, and it's kind of the other way around. The problem with that is we now have Democrats registering as Republicans and then running for office. So what we do is we elect an R with their Democrat ideology. Better think about that. That campaign sign out there that's all red with the R on it. You better not let that be the only reason you vote. Better find out a background. We have to protect the integrity of our party. We have a senator, not in Cleveland County, who believes it's a good idea to allow the government to forcibly inject toxins into your child, and further to remove any religious exemptions from that. The religious exemption part of this stands on its own. I have no use for someone who doesn't respect my religion,
Amen.
my religious beliefs. And the idea that government oversight of substances going into our body is sufficient is ludicrous. Look at the ingredients in what we call food today. Where do you think this cancer comes from?
Mm-hmm.
This autism, all these sicknesses. You kind of think that comes from natural food, or you think that comes from artificial additives, things of that nature? You know also that all the drugs recalled by the FDA were at one day approved by the FDA. Okay? With all the global organizations, and I'll be called a conspiracy theorist as well, that's okay, I can't control what people say about me. With all the global organizations that are calling for a reduction in population, do you really trust our government to not put harmful toxins in your children one way or another? Ask yourself this question: why does the Vaccine Injury Trust Fund exist? Think about that. We all want to talk about how great vaccines are, and I'm not anti-vaccine. There are things that have been helped. Be assured. God gave us brains to fiddle with chemistry and figure out things that we need to know, and He expects us to do that. But again, ask yourself the question: we have the Vaccine Injury Trust Fund. Why would we have that? And why is it paid out $3 billion with a B dollars in settlements? I don't know. Is that good Republican governing? We need to protect the integrity of our party. Does anyone believe that texting while driving is a good idea? Absolutely not. Not one person thinks that's a good idea. But there are already laws on the books that require drivers to dedicate attention to driving. Why would we need another bill?
Yeah.
Could it be the opportunity for more revenue?
Yep.
I don't know, maybe. Some would argue that if it just saves one life, that's fine. If it just saves one life. Let's move on into a different subject. Legislature passed an anti-abortion bill last year. So while we're on the subject of if it just saves one life, why would we veto a bill that specifically triggered the relocation or the location or a new abortion facility in the city within 6 months? If it just saved one more life. We have to protect the integrity of our party. These are just a few examples of our shortcomings in government. But remember, we have the supermajority. We have the lead in the legislature. There are barely enough Democrats in the Senate to have a card game. It's ours. Was it yours? All of it. It's ours to own. It's mine, and it's yours.
That's right.
It's nobody else's. That's one of the great things about being in the minority is you can complain about the majority. You can't do that when you're on the offense. It's yours. You own it. Contact your elected officials. Require excellence and good governance. And work hard to protect the integrity of our party. That's all I have for today. I'm sorry to be such a downer. But like I said, we could sit here and talk about all the good things and hold hands and sing Kumbaya and accomplish nothing. Those things have already happened and they're good. We don't need to talk about them. What we need to do is focus our attention on the things that need attention. Those things that I mentioned, in my opinion, maybe not yours, are some of those things. We need to focus our personal efforts. Like I said, we need to focus our elected officials' efforts. We need to hold ourselves and them to a higher standard. We need to protect the integrity of our party.
Amen.
Thank you. And Pastor Harrison, wouldn't you just love to follow this up?